Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Welcome to one and all. This is a beautiful Thursday evening with your program that runs every Thursday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Call to Guidance with your host, Yunus Kawanga, coming to you live from the Islam Media Studios in Johannesburg, and it is 8 o'clock Central African time. And subhanAllah, tonight we have a good lineup in terms of programs that one happened before already, and another one which is about to take place, inshallah, and has a lot of attraction to it, inshallah ta'ala. Later on, just join me from 8:30 when I'll be speaking to Brother Elrich Abdullah Brown, all the way from Brits, where we speak about the Brits and Letlabile youth camp that took place between the 1st to the 3rd of September. And we're just getting into the details of what happened, how it happened, and the inspiration to the whole program, inshallah. However, first of all, we'll start with the Ahmed Deedat annual lecture series of 2023, and where they will have also, subhanallah, a special guest from the beautiful lands of Malaysia, Dato Haji Kamaruddin Abdullah, inshallah ta'ala. And on this point, inshallah, as we begin the show, I will have with me Maulana Ismail Moosa, who is actually working as the head of comparative religion in IPCI. Maulana also has a degree in economics and qualified as an alim in 2022. Jazakallah Maulana for actually blessing us with your presence tonight. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's a pleasure for me to actually be here and engage with you, Mona Yunus. And I just want to thank Salam Media for giving me the opportunity again to come on air to discuss an exciting lineup that we have in front of us, inshallah.
No, the pleasure is ours, Molana, to have such stalwarts in our midst. Is actually, subhanAllah, something that we can only make dua for. And subhanAllah, this upcoming event, I've seen there's a lot of attraction that has been pulled through it. As I was just looking at the program here, that there will be programs in Pietermaritzburg, in Cape Town, Durban, up in the Gauteng region. We have in Benoni, Lenasia, and Pretoria. However, before we go into the program discussion, Maulana, would like to do a background discussion on IPCI at large. So if Maulana can take us through what is IPCI and what it stands for, etc., inshallah.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a really good place to start. So the IPCI was the brainchild of Sheikh Ahmed Deedat and many others as well. In around the year 1957, they decided to start the IPC at that time, the Islamic Propagation Center, and the last I at the end stands for international. But of course, when they started it, it was a small project, but it was a project with a lot of vision. And that was that Sheikh Ahmed Deedat saw that many of the different facets of deen were being serviced quite well, but the aspect of dawah to the non-Muslim he felt was lacking. And for this reason, this was the reason for which IPC was founded, and it eventually became IPCI. And so currently at the IPCI, the activities that are carrying on are basically all related to dawah. It can be summed up in totality with one word, and that is just dawah. But the way this is manifested is through different programs that are carrying on at the IPCI. So we have the first type of program, which is dawah outreach, or simply at the dawah offices. So IPCI has about 7 branches in Phoenix, Chatsworth, etc. And here a da'i is position from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and his sole job is just to go out to the community and give dawah, to call people inside the branch, to give them literature, etc., things like that. Then at the same time, there are street dawah programs every Friday and every Saturday at different locations. We set up a gazebo, set up a table with some literature and do some street dawah. Together with that, part of the dawah outreach is we offer a service to any Muslim business person who has non-Muslim staff, who wants to give them dawah, but perhaps he's not sure of the method, perhaps there's a language barrier. So the IPCI offers the service where we will come, of course, free of charge. We will speak to all of the staff. We will maybe even give them something to eat, something to drink, and explain to them in the language of their choice, give them literature in the language of their choice. So all of that falls under dawah outreach. And together with that are things like masjid open days, and when the universities have their dawah weeks, then we assist them and things like that. The second thing that we do is something called mosque tours or masjid tours, and this happens quite often at the Great Masjid. Non-Muslims come to witness the Muslim at prayer or to just learn more about what Muslims do in the masjid. And you will be absolutely surprised with, the misconceptions that they have coming into the masjid. They are expecting to see idols, statues, things like that. And the shock that they, when they see this serene, calm atmosphere, and the awe that they're in at that time makes it such that it's like a moment that's ripe for dawah. So the masjid tour is as much about information as it's about dawah and presenting the message of Islam as well. So that's the second thing that IPCI does. Obviously, is very interesting. We can talk a bit about that maybe if we have some time later on. The third thing are the dawah courses. So up and coming da'is, people who want to know a bit more, who want to equip themselves, like Sheikh Ahmed Deedat had about Christianity, Judaism, and in today's time the scope has broadened quite a bit. Now it's atheism, liberalism, modernism, all of those things. So we have a 15-week dawah course that we do with a syllabus, with notes and everything, and it's offered on site and online as well. The fourth thing are revert classes. So, obviously the follow-up is just, or if not more important than the actual dawah itself. And so there are revert classes every single day at IPCA from Monday to Saturday. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about in the activities of IPCI is printing and publication. And perhaps this is an underrated aspect of IPCI in the sense that almost everyone who's doing dawah in a major way around the country sources literature from IPCI, and the IPCI provides this literature to these people free of charge in most cases, especially for those people who can't afford it. Qur'ans in many, many different languages are being printed and distributed. Dawah material, material for reverse, things like that. Not a day goes by when there isn't a shipment going off to some part of the country with literature, dawah material and things like that. So I think that sums up the activities at IPCI. And this now, if we understand that all of this is basically got to do with dawah, then it'll give us an understanding of now where we're going with the Ahmed Deedat annual lecture series, understanding that this entire, institution was, it wasn't only Sheikh Ahmed Deedat initially, but it was he played a major part in taking it to where it was because of his vision, because of his dedication and things like that. And so I think that maybe gives us a summary of what IPCI stands for in today's times.
MashaAllah. That's it's a very broad aspect of what IPCI actually stands for. But also, I think everyone who has been in the dawah field can attest to the point that all the literature that's actually sourced from the IPCI itself, it has been very instrumental in growing Islam in South Africa. Even up here in Gauteng, Alhamdulillah, when we have our own street dawah programs, we have that pamphlet about the introduction to Islam, etc., which is very comprehensive, and people get to ask questions through it. Many times in our areas, most of the times we deal with people who are of your African traditional religion, or maybe they're of Christian faith. And when they see something written about Isa alayhi salam, they then start asking about details in terms of what's your people's view on Isa alayhi salam. Like how Maulana mentioned that when the people came to the masjid and they've seen that no, there's no idols or there's no statues, etc., it's a different lifestyle altogether. Subhanallah. On that, actually, we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes IPCI from strength to strength, so that inshallah, in the near future, the whole of South Africa will actually benefit from the deen of Islam, inshallah. Now, before we speak more about the lecture series of Sheikh Ahmed Deedat rahimahullah, one point people would need to understand is meaning that the shade that he had left in the dawah field in South Africa. If Maulana can just take us through a few points of Sheikh Ahmed's work and what people are still using even now in order to work in the dawah field, inshallah.
Yeah, so I think it's very hard to overstate the effect that Sheikh Ahmed Deedat had, and if I could just use one focal point to emphasize this, I think it would be the fact that up to today, the IPCI still receives correspondence, like I'm talking old school correspondence via letters and things like that from prisons, from people in Europe where they are requesting more information because they've read one of Sheikh Ahmed Deedat's books. And these letters and these correspondence that come through are generated from the effects of the book that the late Sheikh Ahmed Deedat had distributed to the entire world, of course, free of charge. And so, in multiple aspects, there's been, as you said, the shade has been cast, and one of them has obviously been the literature that he wrote, very thoughtful, insightful literature. That's one. But number two is inspiring a whole new generation of da'is.
Mm,
So, recently Sheikh Mohammed Hijab came down from the UK,
no.
and the first place he wanted to visit when he came to Durban was the office of Sheikh Ahmed Deedat. And he just wanted,
Subhanallah.
because he said that that was his inspiration, that there had been, very few people who had an effect on him and who showed him and gave him the ability to have confidence in Islam the way Sheikh Ahmed Deedat did. And, so we can just see that that's just one example. But many, many other people, and in fact, the guest we're bringing down is one of those people who was inspired, who learned under Sheikh Ahmed, and then after that started his own center and is now passing on the message of Islam and teaching others throughout the world.
Subhanallah. And also, not to forget, also, a few weeks ago, we had Sheikh Naji Ibrahim from Saudi, who was also one of the, can say, the people that lit their torches from the auspicious of Sheikh Ahmed Deedat's work and training. Also, he went through the training through the IPCI altogether. And he also shared a lot of points in terms of how the time he spent around Sheikh Ahmed Deedat and how he got inspired into being right now, we can say, a full-blown da'i, and his work also, subhanallah, is being seen throughout the world, especially throughout the Middle East. And Allahu Akbar, we can actually, again, Maulana, we can't enumerate the amount of work that Sheikh Ahmed Deedat rahmahullah has brought to us, and the footprint that he has actually left in the dawah sphere altogether, subhanallah. Now, in terms of speaking about the annual lecture series of Sheikh Ahmed Deedat rahimahullah, what was the inspiration of it, and what is the structure up till now?
Yeah, so I think, IPCI, before it became, the lecture series now is called the Ahmed Deedat Annual Lecture Series. For
Mm,
the past decade or so, let's just say before COVID, it had always been the practice of IPCI to bring down some influential, famous da'i to come to South Africa, have a lecture series, although it wasn't officially called anything as such. And the reason for this was, that it was multifold. And
mm,
I'd like to liken it to, as a family, often the extended family, sometimes when, the special event, everyone gets together. But
mm,
sometimes, we just have like a monthly get together where the family just gets together because it's something that's nice, it's something that's beneficial, even though there may be no exact reason for it. But similarly in this case, just getting the community together at a program, there to listen to someone, there, just for the objective of dawah, uniting everyone on this focal point of dawah was something that was always a goal of IPCI and was enacted through these famous scholars coming. In the past, it had been Shabir Ali, etc., had come. But after COVID hit, then that was put on hold for a while. And then in the after effects, this was decided to be revived in the form of what is now called the Ahmed Deedat Annual Lecture Series. So the Ahmed Deedat Annual Lecture Series is there because, it's like Ahmed Deedat was someone who was a visionary who went against the tide in many different ways in order to
mm,
do effective dawah, in order to make i'la'u kalimatillah, basically to raise and elevate the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And
mm,
what we need is basically more people like that. And so when we have a lecture series with guests who are into dawah, who are linked to Sheikh Ahmed Deedat, who can inspire the people, then I think this is something that can only have benefits. And if just for now, one of the benefits is going to be, the coming together of everyone for a common cause, that in itself is a great benefit that, again, we can't overstate.
Subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant a lot of barakah in the people who actually are part of the whole program itself and who are trying to keep it going, subhanallah. And amongst them, we see also the this year's special guest will be our Dato Haji Kamaruddin Abdullah, all the way from Malaysia. Now, who is Haji Kamaruddin Abdullah?
So I think you've got a nice summary there on the screen, where it actually summarizes a lot of who he is. So he is from Malaysia, as you said, but he's not ethnically Malaysian. He's actually a
Mm,
Tamil Muslim, and he was born into a Christian Catholic family. He reverted to Islam just after reading the Quran, right?
mm,
And he got himself active in dawah. But when he comes down, inshallah, we'll hear his story that
yeah.
at a point where he was, things were a bit low for him after he had accepted Islam, he met Sheikh Ahmed Deedat, he interacted with him, he came and he did the IPCI course, and then he just blossomed from there into starting, he founded the IPSI. So in Malaysia, they made him change it to S. It's basically another branch of the IPCI in Malaysia
Mm,
after meeting Sheikh Ahmed Deedat 30 years ago. So he has his own foundation now that's absolutely blossoming there. He's also
mashallah.
a city councillor in the Penang government in Malaysia, and he's a Dawa activist, a motivator, a public speaker, someone who's trying to again unite everyone under the banner of Dawa. And
Mm,
because he is a revert himself, he can really, sometimes people who are born Muslim, we can't, as much as we try and as much as we talk about it, but we don't fully really grasp the gift of Islam, as it
mm,
were,
mm,
as opposed to someone who came from the darkness and then into the light. And this is something that he stresses. So this is a person who, as we can see, he holds a high position. He's a city councillor in Penang government. He's well studied. He has studied under many different scholars. He is into dawah. He is a very passionate person. He is a very like motivating speaker. So inshallah, that's as much as I think we need to know about. And he was, so the word dato is like, in England when you do something, then they confer upon you knighthood, and then they call
mm.
you sir. So
Right.
dato is like a title that's given to someone who of prestige in the Malaysian society. So that's basically a small summary on our guest, Dato Haji Kamaruddin Abdullah.
Now, and Malana also highlighted the point that he himself is a revert. So, does that also mean that in terms of the lecture series, that reverts, or rather not reverts only, but also people who are quite interested in Islam, who are not Muslim yet, are they also invited to the programs?
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. And as we go through the programs, I'm going to mention that and some of our posters do explicitly have it that bring all non-Muslims to the program. It's not only for Muslims. As much as this is about encouraging Muslims to do dawah, his story itself and the things he has to say will be very effective. It'll be, something that's heart moving for
Mm,
someone who is not a Muslim to hear this, to be able to empathize, with someone who they might feel was in their shoes at one stage.
mm,
And so it can be very effective in that sense. And so, yes, any Muslims who are coming who have non-Muslim friends, or, non-Muslim staff, or whatever the case is, they're encouraged to bring them along, and to come with them, bring them along, make them feel comfortable, and inshallah we can see, the dawah of Islam spreading like that.
mashallah. And now, can Maulana also, inshallah, help us through the program schedule itself, inshallah?
Okay, so I'm just the one that you have on the screen is quite, I think that's comprehensive. So
Mm,
Um, Dato is coming, Kamaruddin Abdullah, on Tuesday will be the first lecture. It will be at Madrasa Tartirul Quran in Mountain Rise in Peter Maritzburg. It will be after the Isha Salah, and the Isha Salah will be at 7:30. So that will be the Peter Maritzburg. It's going to be one public talk. And then he's going off to Cape Town for Wednesday and Thursday. So
mm,
again, Wednesday after Isha Salah again, a public talk at Masjid al-Quds in Gatesville. And then Thursday, the 28th, after Maghrib, there will be a dinner at Alhambra restaurant. And for all of these, not for all of these, but for this one, tickets can be booked
mm,
online. Then the Durban leg of the tour will be on Friday. It will be kicking off with a Jumu'ah lecture at the Grey Street Masjid. And after which, after Maghrib, there will be a dinner at the NMJ Hall. Again, for this one, it will be better if people book tickets.
Mm.
Then on Saturday is something very interesting, and this one there is no tickets or anything. Every single Muslim who is in the field of dawah is
Okay.
encouraged to come along for this. It's going to be at the IPCI Exhibition Center, 124 Dennis Hurley Street, and this is going to be a dawah conference. So it's going to start at 9 a.m. It's going to end at 2 p.m. And basically, all the key role players in the dawah scene in KZN and those who can make it from further off will be there to discuss certain structural changes, certain improvements that can be made, certain networking, ideas, just basically networking, sharing ideas for how to take the dawah forward. And this is so, so important that someone was mentioning to me the other day that, when it comes to every other field, there's like a 10-year plan, 20-year plan. And in the
Mm.
dawah field, we need to have a 100-year plan. Where do we see ourselves? How are we going to go? Short-term goals, long-term goals. All of this is important. So there's the enthusiasm that comes with dawah, but then there's also the intellectual guiding of the process in order to make it much more fruitful. So that's what
Mm.
we hope is going to occur there on Saturday, the 30th of September. And then there will be, on Saturday after Isha, he will be in Benoni. There will be a public talk, Masjidul Ansar in Lakefield. Then in Indonesia, there will be a public talk on Sunday, the 1st of October 2023 at 11 a.m. at the school hall in Indonesia South. And the last program will be, again, this will be on Sunday, but after Maghrib at Al Ghazali Hall in Masjid Abu Bakr Siddiq in Rasmia. And the topic is going to be a Tamil Christian's journey to Islam. So again,
Okay.
that's a very, it's an interesting, thought-provoking lecture. And yeah, so inshallah, I think that will basically be our program that we're going to have for Datu Haji Kamaruddin Abdullah.
Yeah, and those who are inshallah hoping inshallah and willing to come through can also Molana see the number is on the screen, but some might not see it. Can Molana just give us the contact details in order for people who want to book the tickets, and also if and the email also which has been provided for us inshallah.
Okay, so I think if anyone wants to contact over WhatsApp or call, then 083 982 8828. That's Brother Muhammad Khan on 083 982 8828. And if you want to go online or if you want to email for tickets, you can do so. You can send an email to info@ipcisa.com. Info@ipcisa.com.
Jazakumullah khair on that, Molana. Now, in terms of the other points, obviously, people would want to know if there's any other way they can also work with the IPCI, regardless, not only in terms of the program that's coming up, for those who are willing, for example, let's say people who have certain programs they want to run in the townships. I'm talking about Muslim brothers and sisters who are interested in a dawah and feeling that there's a big need for obviously dawah is needed everywhere. Subhanallah, actually, just one kissa before I go on. We had a one program a few months ago in Uppington, and it was an amazing in I could say an experience because it was actually one of the first street dawah programs that they had in the town, and they were asking for more programs like that. And there are people that you find who actually have that zeal, but they don't have the know-how, or in terms of how do we contact certain organizations, etc., or how do we get pamphlets or literature. So in terms of that, also, are they going to also be able to contact the same number that Monana gave, or is there a specific number for those type of people, inshallah?
Okay, Mona, it was breaking up for me a bit there. I think
Right.
Mona was basically asking what are the other ways that the public can interact with the IPCI in order to take the dawah forward? Is that like the gist?
Correct, Mona.
Okay, so if Mona doesn't mind, I just want to mention one extra point about Haji Kamruddin Abdullah, and then
Mhm.
we can, if that's okay.
No
Um,
problem.
so, because I just feel that, maybe people will be wondering, why this person from Malaysia.
Mm,
There's so many other dais around the world who have been touched by Sheikh Ahmed Deedat.
mm,
So why him? So I just thought it's a thought that could cross someone's mind, and I think there's two reasons that are just important for why we're bringing him down. The first is that um, you see, dawah, as much as there's methods, there's techniques, there's tips and everything, and you got to have knowledge and all of that. But at the
mm,
end, it's a spark that's within every Muslim. And whereas the Christian world, they paid missionaries to go around the world, and this was their job and things like that. That was their full time job.
mm,
Every single Muslim was himself a da'i. He had his day job, but on the side he was a da'i. That's how it was from the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to the Sahaba to the Tabi'in, right through
mm,
the ages. And with colonialism and things like that happened, Muslims found themselves with a slight inferiority complex, not able to give the dawah, or not just having that spark within them. And so the first reason is that
mm,
this guest is one of the things he does is he ignites that spark for dawah. So that's the
mm,
first thing I want to mention. And the second is that in Malaysia, they have, see, one of the things that kind of hinders dawah sometimes is the cultural dynamics in which the dawah takes place.
mm,
And so in Malaysia, with the Tamil community, they're facing a certain issue which we can kind of relate to as South Africans. And that is that Malaysia is a majority Muslim country, but
right.
the minority Christians who are there, I mean, sorry, the minority Tamils who are there are inclining more towards Christianity than Islam. And that is an
Mm,
issue. And in a way, in South Africa, we find a similar thing happening, but on a micro level, where we have non-Muslims working as staff in Muslim businesses, throughout South Africa, many like this, and they're with Muslims for the entire work day, which is sometimes more than they're with their family, and yet we find them not reverting towards Islam, not actually going towards other religions besides Islam. And there's
right.
some issue there that we are having, that the people of Malaysia and the Muslims of Malaysia are having a similar issue. And this is where Haji Kamruddin Abdullah will be here to help us resolve that issue, because sometimes resolving these small things can go, or what might appear to be a small thing can go a long way in allowing the message of Islam to spread. So I thought I'll just mention that in case people want to know why specifically this speaker.
No,
Um,
100%.
and the last, so what other ways can people? So just the other day, someone approached us, and they said, what, we know people in a certain area, informal settlement or township, and we want to do dawah there. So what can we do? And so, inshallah, anyone with ideas like this, who wants to do something like this, who's passionate about us, we'd advise them to firstly join us on our street dawah. Secondly, to bring us their Muslim staff, bring us their Muslim colleagues, call us to talk to them, even if it's the domestic workers at home, call us to talk to them. Basically, just reach out to us for whatever dawah idea you have, whether it's on a small scale like speaking to your colleague at work, or whether it's on a large scale that you want to basically set up dawah to an entire region, entire informal settlement. Inshallah, we can help with that in terms of getting the speakers, the literature, all of this. We can facilitate it. We can help you with it. But the main thing in all of this here is that we just come together. That's and I can't stress that point enough. That when we as Muslims come together for a common cause, inshallah, there'll be nothing that will be able to stand in our way.
Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the whole program very can say beneficial. That's one, and also successful to reach the people that it's meant for, and also be the stepping block for all of us, inshallah, Monana, as you mentioned, to come together and actually strive to beat or reach the same goal together, inshallah ta'ala. Any closing comments before we go, Monana?
Sure. So I think closing comments, maybe I just encourage people, again, attend, get people, who are non-Muslim to attend, but bigger and broader than that, make dawah, a part of your life. That's
Mm,
the crux of these programs. Yes, they're there. We can enjoy them. The speaker can give us some stories that we will enjoy, can encourage us, and things like that. But the main thing is make dawah a part of your life. Make it a part of the life of all of the Muslims in your life. And inshallah, we will see in our lives Islam spreading throughout South Africa. So I think, yeah.
Jazakumullah khairan, Monana, for your time, and really hope to see Monana and them when they do come up into Gauteng, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Alright, Assalamu
Jazakallah
alaikum wa
khairan,
rahmatullahi
Yunus.
wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Alhamdulillah, that brings us to the end of our first segment. It's actually 8:30 on the dot. Let's take a quick break, and when we get back, inshallah ta'ala, we'll be rushing to the other side of our neighboring province of Northwest to Brits, inshallah, to speak to our brother Abdullah, inshallah, regarding the camp that took place between the 1st and the 3rd of September in Brits, inshallah ta'ala. Stay tuned.